Hello and hello. Welcome back to the Undisputed Champ YouTube boxing channel. If you like the videos I've already put out, hit the like button, comment and subscribe. And let's get into the video of today. Today we're talking about Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith. This is Chris's first announcement of a fight since the Conor Benn Fiasco. That's when Conor and Chris were signed to fight at a catch weight of 157. We got all the way to fight week and then Conor Benn popped for PEDs. It's a shame. We were all gutted about the fight, but Chris has moved on and he's got himself a game competitor in Liam Smith. I was very interested to see where this fight was going to be at, what weight it was going to be at, considering Chris Eubank Jr. has fought majority of his career at 160 and he's fought at 168 a little bit as well, and Liam Smith has fought the majority of his career at 154. So I was thinking, where could Liam have a bit of sway to try and get a catch weight as well, sort of how Conor Benn did, but no, the fight's going to be at 160. That favours Chris Eubank. He's the bigger guy, he's got the longer reach, he's taller, and Liam, I don't think he's ever fought at 160. He might have fought of a catch weight close to 160, but I don't think he's ever fought at the weight 160. So that should be an interesting look to see how Liam comes in. Is he going to be podgy? Is he going to be in shape? We're going to see. We're going to find out. Looking at Chris Eubank Jr., I've always found him to be an exciting fighter. He's eccentric, but not to the point of his father. And he does things his own way. He moves up in weight class to fight at 168. He moves down in weight class to fight at 160. He very unorthodox in his style. He's not a conventional boxer. That might play into the fact that he didn't really have a long amateur career and therefore didn't pick up some of those amateur traits, that fundamental boxing traits that he can carry on into the pros, and he's just developed his own style. But I've always found it interesting to watch. He tries to push for KOs. Even if a lot of his KOs are more overwhelming opponents, he still tries to push for KOs. He doesn't like to coast. And he's just an interesting character all round, especially the way he dealt with the Conor Benn situation. Knowing you're going to lose out on a big payday for something that's completely not your fault, he managed to still poke jokes at the situation. He managed to show, the consummate professional he is. Even the lead up to the fight when he was eating loads of fast food, but still assuring everyone he was going to make the weight. And he did actually make that weight. After the fight was cancelled, he showed everyone, he stood on the scales in his hotel room and he made the weight. So yeah, very, very interesting guy. The one thing I would say with Chris, his lack of fundamentals do show up, and it shows up at the worst times for him. He's 32-2. His 2 losses have come in 2 big fights for him. He's lost to George Groves in the World Boxing Super Series, and earlier in his career he lost to Billy Joe Saunders. George Groves and Billy Joe are 2 fighters that have very good fundamentals, and when it came right down to the wire, Chris couldn't quite lean back on his boxing to get him through when things got a bit tough. And it's a shame because it's fights like that where, we're tired of seeing Chris just blow out guys he's overmatched against. Fights like that where we want to see him be able to pull something out of the ordinary. We know he might not have that one hit quitter, but we wanted to see a bit more about you. Where is your boxing skills? How do you deal when you're being put under pressure? What can you show us when things get tough? And I will give Chris, he's got a heart, and he's always shown he's got a heart. He's tough. He's tough as old boots, as they say in the UK. He's tough as old boots, but the boxing fundamentals still quite aren't right. Whereas when we look at a guy like Liam Smith, he comes from a boxing family. All his brothers are boxers, have all won British titles. He's won a world title before, and he does have good fundamentals. I just don't like the style that he employs on the defensive when he puts his hands up and sort of walks forward in a high guard. I've always hated that style, that Joe Gallagher gym style defense. I just think it's horrible because when you get under those arms that you put up, you can get to the body very easily. They don't normally move well at the waist, the fighters that employ that style. But Liam does have good fundamentals. He's got a very nice jab. He's got good right hand, good left hooks. He's got decent power for a 154 guy, but I think at 160 power sort of dissipates a little bit. And as Floyd Mayweather says, he's straight up and down, no special effects. Very quiet outside of the ring, that tries to do as much of his talking in the ring. He's 32-3, 3 losses. The famous loss being to Canelo, where he did okay, but eventually got stopped. And I can't really see the things that Liam's going to be able to do that are going to surprise Chris Eubank Jr. He likes come forward fighters, and Liam is a come forward fighter. That is Chris's bread and butter. If Chris was to fight for a world title and someone said to him, pick your perfect style, he would say, give me a come forward pressure fighter with a high guard. That's exactly who Liam Smith is. He's a come forward pressure fighter with a high guard. The only thing I could say that would harm Chris is always chopping and changing trainers. I know he was with Roy Jones Jr. I don't think he's with Roy Jones Jr. anymore, and he's been a bit inactive. Other than that, I can't see how Chris isn't going to win this fight. And if I had to pick, I'd pick Chris. I'll probably pick Chris by UD or stoppage on cuts, because Liam does cut quite easily. Liam can lean on boxing fundamentals, but he doesn't carry a lot of power. He's the smaller guy with the smaller reach. He's been a little bit inactive himself, maybe not as much as Chris, but he's been inactive himself, and he's stepping up to a higher weight class. So he's got a lot of disadvantages in his favour. I mean, he's got a lot of disadvantages against him, and Chris has got a lot of things in his favour. So I'm picking Chris Eubank Jr. I think he'll win, as I said, either UD or on cuts, and I think it's going to be an interesting fight. It's also interesting how this is a Sky pay-per-view. I am very intrigued to see what the numbers are going to look like, because these two aren't pay-per-view stars. Chris has done a few pay-per-views back in the day, did one on ITV, didn't do very well. He did a couple on ITV that didn't do very well. And he was going to do one on DAZN with Conor Benn, which looked like it was going to sell well, but I think that was more Conor Benn's name than Chris really selling it. Liam, I think he had a pay-per-view against Canelo on Box Nation back in the day, but that's it. So I don't really see where these pay-per-view buys are going to come from. It's a nice card. Got Richard Riakporhe on the card. You've got a few other names on the card, but where are these buys going to come from for Sky? I really don't know if they should have been a pay-per-view fight. But I'll support it anyway, and yeah, let's see who wins. Peace.